Of Justice Internal Watchdog report. ABC News is reporting the DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz has concluded that James Comey defied authority at times during his tenure as FBI director. It is breaking now. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner. Here today, co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend, Abby Huntsman. Host of Kennedy on Fox Business, Kennedy. Former deputy spokesperson for the State Department, Fox News analyst and host of Benson and Harf on the radio, Marie Harf. Joining us now in the center seat, former House Speaker and Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich, also the author of the new book, Trump's America, The Truth About Our Nation's Great Comeback. He is outnumbered, as we say. We have a lot to get to. This is breaking right now.
And I am definitely outnumbered.
Oh, no, never. Good to have you.
This new thing is amazing.
Yeah, let's get to it. Former FBI Director James Comey reportedly in hot water as we await the release of that DOJ Inspector General's report. It's been delayed. We've been reporting that. One source is telling ABC News the watchdog's draft explicitly uses the word insubordinate to describe Comey's behavior during his time as head of the FBI. The draft also reportedly criticizes former Attorney General Loretta Lynch over her handling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation. This is meaty. We knew that there'd be some fireworks with this IG report from what everybody was telling us. What's your first reaction?
Well, the first reaction is somebody inside Justice decided they would leak this, because I don't think it's gotten anywhere except in the Justice Department. And that means somebody inside Justice is really angry about the way it's being handled. And I think they decided they'd just start getting it out there.
Any sort of surprise reaction, par for the course with James Comey from you?
I don't know that I have any surprise about it. Look, I think that Comey was a terrible person who did terrible things. I think he did it in the Bush administration. I think he did it when he was head of the FBI. And I think that if McNabb gets immunity and testifies, that Comey will be in even worse shape. And I think both McNabb and Comey have enormous legal liabilities. You
mean Andrew McCabe, former deputy of the FBI?
Who was fired with 4 different charges of having broken the law. And so you have the top guy at the FBI fired, the number 2 guy at the FBI fired. This report apparently says the Attorney General was doing things that were wrong, which I believe means you're eventually going to get to Valerie Jarrett and Barack Obama.
Yeah. Okay, so that's where I want to go with you, Marie Harf. Yeah. So now you have, if you will, that line of command, which would reach all the way to the president, to the White House potentially.
Maybe. I mean, first of all, it's a draft report, so we have no idea if there are caveats. We have no idea the context, and we're all going to have to wait and read it together when it's finalized. But I think that I've always said about Jim Comey, he is by no means a perfect public servant. I think he has done damage to his reputation, and a lot of Democrats hate him too. That being said, some of the criticisms he has raised can also be true, so we have to sort of separate those out. When you just
like what? What are you talking about?
Well, I think some of his criticisms of President Trump, and I think the fact that President Trump fired him in part because of the Russia investigation, can still be problematic, even if Jim Comey wasn't perfect. But you asked about Barack Obama. We have no idea. I mean, we have no idea what Jim Comey was doing, or if he was talking to Barack Obama, or talking to anyone in the White House. I don't even know why you brought up Valerie Jarrett. She hasn't been a part of any of this. So I think we just have to take a deep breath and wait till we see the report before we jump to conclusions.
I want to give the speaker a chance to respond to that.
I mean, first of all, you do have the specific text message in which one of the FBI agents says to the other, the president personally wants to be kept briefed on all this. Second,
on the election meddling investigation.
On the investigation into the Trump campaign during the election. Second, you know, just the way the White House operated, the idea that Valerie Jarrett wouldn't be in the middle of this is inconceivable.
But you have no evidence she is. You're just throwing that out there. I have no idea if she was. Why would she have been talking to Jim Comey?
I want to get back to something else. I mean, what's interesting here is you've got the 3 essentially top players in justice and FBI turning on each other. Because Andrew McCabe, and think how liberally the FBI was handing out immunity during the Hillary Clinton investigation. Right. So Andrew McCabe assumes that he's going to receive the same sort of liberal outreach. I don't think he's going to. I don't think he needs to be immune from prosecution. But what he's saying is, I will gladly turn on Comey. Comey has said there's classified information about Loretta Lynch that showed that she directly meddled in the investigation. And Comey Comey has also, he's tried to say that he and McCabe were best friends, but, perhaps he wasn't as honorable as people have thought. But, it'll be very interesting to see where we go from here, because if you believe James Comey, and it's fine to do a reductio, you can go ahead and believe James Comey at his word when he says that Loretta Lynch was so compromised he had to go rogue, he had to go out on his own, which contradicts his testimony that he believes in chain of command. Exactly. But if he really believed that means he couldn't go to the president. He couldn't go above her to the chain of command above her, right, and appeal to the president and say, okay, she's doing something wrong. So he went out on his own.
So a person who would have leaked information about his conversations with the president to a friend whom he had employed at one point as head of the FBI as a special type of agent at the FBI. He leaks to that Columbia professor. That person, we're supposed to suspend belief about everything else, that he's telling the truth and not think that any of what you said happened. It's a stretch, perhaps, for some people politically. I want to get to this, though. The word insubordinate apparently is used by the Inspector General's report. And again, this is leaking. A lot of leaking.
A lot of leaking.
So we want to be able to see it, as Marie says, if we can, as unredacted as possible. Insubordinate, though, that's a serious word. That's not like that's not a little going rogue.
Yeah.
That's not a little, maybe he felt like he couldn't go directly to the president because his boss was in the way. That connotes that in this report, he did something wrong.
An insubordinate used for the head of the FBI. The irony of all of this is this goes against the man that he's been trying to portray that he is. James Comey's out on his book tour, and he's trying to be the example for these leaders coming up. In that interview with George Stephanopoulos, he said, I follow that chain of command. I take that very seriously, exactly to your point. Yeah. So this goes exactly against the person that he claims to be. The people that I feel for the most in all of this, the bigger picture here, is the morale at the FBI, because you've got about, 35,000 employees. Many of them are there for the right reasons, and they take that job not to be political, but to serve this country. And you've got all of these guys at the top pointing fingers at one another. I think it's disgusting. I think it's really sad to see in this country.
Look, both as a historian and as a novelist, let me just suggest...
And a former speaker.
And a former speaker. Well, let me just suggest, if you have the number 2 person at the FBI guilty of something, you potentially turning on the number 1 person at the FBI, who, if you read the Rosenstein memo, was devastating, and which Trump should have released, frankly, before he fired him, because it was devastating, and really presages that what we're seeing today. Because Rosenstein said we can never rebuild the morale at the FBI as long as this guy's still there. That's in the memo by Rosenstein. Then you have Comey saying, the head of the FBI, saying of his boss, the Attorney General, that she clearly has done things that are terribly wrong. And now I understand you want to suggest that the Obama administration was so sloppily run that you could have the Attorney General, the head of the FBI, and the number 2 person of the FBI all doing these things while at the White House they were totally ignorant. I think that is inconceivable.
We'll wait for some evidence and we'll see.
Well, but of course the Justice Department has done everything it can to avoid the evidence. So,
right.
so
I
they...
want to interject this very quickly. Seeing that there might actually be accountability in a story that many in the media specifically said was completely closed, that there might be accountability is a very good thing, but it also shows this Inspector General so far has been pretty thorough, and maybe we don't need a second special counsel.
I was just thinking the same thing. And in fact, because we still have to see the TikTok and what he found out on the Hillary Clinton email investigation portion of it, which I know we're going to get to, waiting for this IG report, and with the delays that we learned about this week, I have had many lawmakers on the Hill tell me it'll be worth the wait because it will answer some questions. And clearly it's answering questions that we might not have even known we wanted to ask.